Alright, so we went from having a beautiful 70-degree weather day yesterday to a 35-degree and cold and dreary day today. And the funny thing was, I was like, oh, I'll film tomorrow because it's going to be beautiful again, because, you know, that's a sharp, drastic change there. But it's really gloomy today, so I'm not doing the things that I wanted to do. But yesterday we got some stuff sown in the garden, and I got an arched trellis up with some peas planted. Maybe I'll show you that here in a little bit. And we also started our peppers. Now, usually I start my peppers about the 15th of March, or 20th of March, somewhere around there. I do my peppers and tomatoes together. This year, I wanted my peppers to get a little bit of head start because they take so much longer. So I'm going to go ahead. I went ahead and started them. I've got 2 more varieties to start today. But I'm going to show you my setup. We've been down here cleaning and just getting things put up. But we got a lot accomplished, and it looks a mess, but it's an organized, kind of tidy mess. But we, this is just our seed startup area like we did last year. We really didn't change much. My uncle gave me a lot of canning jars. So this is what all of this is just different kinds of jars. We haven't went through them yet, but we got a lot of canning jars down here that he gave us, and we're excited to use them. So we just got our little shelf here. I bring my air garden down here. The light like really bothered me staying on or coming on super early in the morning or staying on late. So I bring it down here. I'm going to start some stuff in it as well. I'm going to look and see what I've got left. And then we've got our board with our heat mat, 2 trays here. I've got lights on each of these shelves, but I'm going to put my next ones up here. Hopefully they won't need the heat mat. It is pretty warm in here. We've got this little heater in here and the fireplace going. I chose to not start them in these 72 cell trays and go ahead and do them in these 6 packs here that you can kind of see. It's going to be bright, but you can kind of see there. And I just have some, like, this is what I use to water because I know it takes this bottle and this jar. But we just got some extra, all of our extra stuff in here, and a lot of our canning stuff, sausage making stuff, and a whole lot of just random junk, clothes that I'm selling for the kids and stuff like that. Winter clothes, all that. So 6 cells planted. And that concludes all the peppers that I'm going to be planting for this coming year. Now I did sow 2 seeds per little pod there, and as I get my greenhouse going and have room to up pot and things like that, I may separate some of those seedlings out at some point so that they can, we can have even more plants to sell, or whatever, giveaway or whatever we need to do. Alright, so another beautiful day. We got some stuff done up in the garden, got some seeds started. I'm going to show you all of that, and just finish wrapping up this video because I'm not sure what all I filmed and what all I got. But anyway, alright, so we are up in the raised bed garden area. We got, I don't think I showed you this the other day, but this is what we did to keep the turkeys out of the garlic. We still haven't planted the onions yet. Might do that here in just a few minutes. But we've still got some beds that need some soil. But we did get them moved. Nothing's moved on the greenhouse yet. We did get a little bit planted. We got some carrots that I'm trying them out here. It's a little early for carrots, kind of, without any kind of cover or anything. But I'm going to go ahead and see if these won't germinate. And if they don't, that's fine. I'll just redo some more in a few weeks. And then in this bed with my sage, I planted some turnips and some radishes. I hope the kids haven't played in this one. They helped me plant it, so hopefully they know to stay out of it. But those should be coming up soon. And then me and Mason went ahead and put up one of these arched trellises. I wanted to do this from the beginning whenever I started moving all this up here. But we just got it put up here, and I went ahead and sowed some peas on each side. I think each side is a different variety, but they're just sugar snap peas, and they should be coming up soon too. It's been a few days. I don't see any coming up, but we've had some like cold weather. So what I did here with my garlic is the garlic bulbs that was right here, I just carefully dug them up and found somewhere to put them over here. And then there's about 3 or 4 right along the edge of this. I just planted the peas back a little further, so hopefully that works out. If I lose a couple heads of garlic, that's fine, but I think it should work out. I'm also hoping that by the time these peas are done, I'm pulling them out, I can plant some cucumbers here or some melons or squash to cover this trellis, because that gets a little hectic down there in the big garden. Ideally, I would like to have several more of these arch trellises, because I really just think vertical garden makes sense. It's easier on my back, and yeah, so I'm excited for this, to use this, and I want to try to fit in some more where we can. And while I'm here, just another update on these chickens. Everybody is laying now, so we are back to not only having plenty of eggs, but being able to sell our eggs. We sold them last year at a local farmer's market, and this year we're hoping to just do farm pickup. We're hoping we'll sell them pretty good that way, or I can meet people in town when I go to town. But we are in full egg production here. Alright, so tonight we're going to make some chicken and dumplings, homemade chicken and dumplings. Now, a lot of people use like the noodles. I grew up using canned biscuits, and that's what I did for most of the time that I was married. I would just buy some canned biscuits and use them. Now that I make my own biscuits, I just mix my regular biscuit dough and use that instead. It gets a little more fluffier than I like, but it is what it is. I just do what I know to do with my biscuits and use that. So I just cut in some butter here to my dry ingredients. I add some buttermilk. I could have used water because, you know, it's not like we were eating these as biscuits, but I just mix it up, and I just add water, or not add water, I add buttermilk until I get to that right consistency that I know I like my biscuits in. I'll do a separate video on that one day, hopefully soon, and show you how I do that a little more in depth. But this, I'm not worried about them being like fluffy or any certain type of way. I could have just mixed this up with my hand, but I just kind of get it to where that consistency that I like, to where I know I can clump it together in little bits and put it into my stock pot. So I'm just gonna keep adding some more buttermilk, and then I'll put it out on my little pan here. I'm gonna show you a couple different ways that you can actually do this if you're making homemade dough. Now, first, I just knead it by hand just a little bit to get all those last little bit crumbly bits, which again is not really necessary in this recipe, but I got in the habit of doing my biscuits that way. And so you can cut it like this, and you want to cut it in like a 1 by 1, maybe even 1/2 inch little chunks, and you can just drop it in there just like that. I would actually dust these with a little bit of flour just so they wouldn't stick together, but I don't have time for that. That's not even when I do canned biscuits. I just pull them apart just like this in random little bits and throw them in my pot. So that's what you'll see me doing here in just a minute. I don't do this beforehand. I just let my dough rest, and then I will throw them in as my stock is boiling. Now, yesterday I cooked a whole chicken in my Instapot. and I'm trying to use up those last chickens because we're getting meat chickens soon. And I made several jars of bone broth. I let it cook all night, and that's what led to this recipe, because I was like, how can I use up some of that bone broth? And chicken and dumplings sounded awesome. So I'm just skimming the fat off of the top of that, adding a couple jars. I think I added about 2 quart jars. It was pretty thick bone broth, but you know, I was making a lot of soup. So, and this recipe, when you use a homemade chicken broth like this, it makes it thick, so you can omit those like cream of soups that you use to get them, you know, nice and creamy. Now I just let this come to a boil. I'm just dropping them in. I keep dropping them in until I have it all done. I promise there's room. Just keep adding them in, and you'll see them kind of look like they're going to fall apart, and then all of a sudden they just kind of they puff up a little bit, and then they kind of deflate a little bit. So I'll take 1 or 2 and I'll cut them, and you can see that it looks like the biscuit is done inside. So it looks like cooked dough, and that's what you're looking for. And then you're ready to move on. So we're going to add that chicken. I just shredded it yesterday and put it in the fridge. So I'm just adding it to it. It's cold. I haven't warmed it up or anything. And give it a stir. And then the rest is really simple. Just add a lot of salt, a lot of pepper, and some celery seed to it. Give it a stir, and it's ready to eat, y'all. I hope you like this video. It's a little bit all over the place. We'll see you very soon. We've got lots of more content coming out. And we want to thank you guys for watching, and God bless.